prices to the moon. The bears them waiting for the crash coming real soon. But the OG consultant watching, he's seen it all before. Over 40 years in the game, he knows the real score. Bull versus bear, a real estate fight. Peter Zalewski tell you who's wrong and who is right. In the Miami Condo investing club with no guess. He cuts through the noise and all of the mess. The Peter Zalewski Show. Big respect, OG in the game. Listen and learn the man's name. And up down. Peter Zalewski Show.
Happy Wednesday, Miami. This is the Peter Zalewski Show. It is a talk show with somebody in the South Florida region that I think you need to know, whether you live here, whether you just got here, or whether you're thinking about moving here. Every week on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, I do a live broadcast with a sports person that I think is influential. That can provide some interesting insight for you, depending on what you're trying to do related to the South Florida real estate market, the economy, and or just business in general. Who do we have this week? We have no one else but Jim Freed. Jim has been doing financing and real estate north of 30 years down here in South Florida. He's the founder, he's the president of Sandstone Realty Advisors. What are we talking about today with Jim? I got him for about 45 minutes. What are we talking about today? We're talking about condo construction financing. We're talking about condo land financing and or all land financing. And then we're going to drill down. We're going to talk about what's going on with individual mortgages, maybe Fannie Mae, as well as that stuff that banks have to portfolio. So long way of saying, Jim Freed, welcome to the Peter Zalewski Show. It's about time that I return the favor. You've had me on your show many times, and it was only right that I get you on. And I'm just afraid you're going to make me seem like nothing, because I know once you start talking, people are going to be blown away.
Well, Peter, thanks for the send-up. That was great. I really appreciate that. I've been working 40 years for that. So thank you so much for having me on your show. I will never forget the first time we met at Greed Street having breakfast. And I want to congratulate you on all the accomplishments that you've made in making yourself a market leader on both the information and transactional.
Well, thank you, Jim. Wow. I just did a panel discussion day with a bunch of developers. I don't know that they would necessarily agree with you, but that being said, thank you.
Well, I appreciate your unique approach and your perspective and your data-driven opinions.
You know, Jim, it's kind of a perfect segue to kind of get into, if we start big picture, we do like a Google Earth. Let's talk about condo construction financing. A, can you get it? B, how much does it cost? Maybe where were we before? And, do you have to search far and wide to get your hands on it? Is it readily available where people knocking on your door and saying, listen, I got all this cash I want to put on the street? Why don't you give us an overview about getting financing for a condo tower right now today, assuming you get the 65% pre-sales and you're coming in at prices that pencil?
Well, those are a couple of really big assumptions, Peter, neither of which are really on point right now. I don't know. It's really not the way things start. Really, the way that things start is that people get a loan for the pre-development, where they get a loan to buy the land, put up the sales center, hire the realtors to go out and do the deal. I think that money is available to the right developer. I think the right developer today can still get financed. I think that there's a whole bunch of different sectors in the marketplace. I just got off the phone with somebody who's looking to do a $30 million construction loan, a client of mine for many, many years. He's got a great location in the right marketplace. He's got a lot of experience, but it's difficult for him to get financing because the equity on these deals is really just ordinary income. So on a deal like that, which is really friends and family or for family office group, it's not that easy to find somebody that's willing to write that kind of check. That said, of course, I do have friends of mine that I've done deals with that are really interested in talking to him about that. I also know people that won't look at a deal that's smaller than $300 or $400 million for a construction financing. So the money is out there. You have to be an experienced developer. You have to have some of your own skin in the game. You have to be able to find people that are willing to put their money next to yours. And you have to have enough money so that if there's a slip on the bicycle chain, somebody will be there to backstop the deal. So there's, like I said, a couple of different loans for construction. One is a pre-dev loan, and I know a couple of different family offices and a couple of different financial firms, lenders from South Florida and New York that are very active in that space today. And then global financial services firms are ready to stand up and do the $300, $400, $500 million loan that is now becoming, I don't want to say every day, but I will say every day here in South Florida.
Okay, great. So financing is available if you have the right borrower to do condo construction right now in South Florida. So that, I think, is good news.
Yes, I just got another idea while we were talking. So whenever I turn away, it's because I get another idea to make me some money. Yeah. I want to
100%.
say,
Now-
Peter, by the
now-
way, I like your hairdo just as much as my hairdo. You know, I got involved in this business. I had a 4-head. Now I have a 5-head. You just lost it all right there, you know.
Well,
So-
you know what I did? I decided to shave it. And I've heard some good things.
I think you look amazing. Certainly, it does you well. I don't think my wife would like me to shave my head, but if she said shave your head, I'd listen to her, and then I'd probably say no. So there is financing out there. This is the guy I was just talking about now. He's sending me the information. Hold on, I got to send him my email address. There it is. So that'll be here in a couple of minutes. See, what I really do, Peter, is I solve people's problems. I'm not like one of the big brokerage firms that waters the lawn with a deal. I'd call people I know, and I make one phone call, and I'm like a matchmaker. You could call me the end of the matchmaker of real estate.
Okay, and the way you do it, so the public just has a general idea, or the audience has a general idea. So you're going to go to the traditional, which would be the regular banks, if you will. Then you're probably going to hit a Wall Street, private equity, something like that. And then you also tap into this this pool of family offices where you have relationships with. So
No, I
just generally speaking.
usually just know who's going to do the deal right away. I make
Okay.
phone calls. I talk to a lot of people, and then I match make. I'm not going to do what I call a process management, where I'm going to, put a fancy book together and send it to 800 people and then lie to them and, call my, then tell my friend I'll benchmark the deal for you and then I'll let you beat everybody. And the reality is that a lot of times when people get one of those fancy packages, they know that it's just a race to the bottom, and they're really not that interested. It's really all about relationships, just about everything else in life. You have a relationship, you have people that trust you, they ask your opinion, and at a certain point in the business cycle, they're ready to talk to you. This guy's been on the street now with this $30 million construction loan for 6 months. Now he's ready to just have one phone call solve the problem, and I can do that. He's put together the box of what people are willing or not willing to do, and if I can come in and beat the market, I'll get the deal. And believe me, I'll know in 15 minutes or not whether I've got a deal that I can work on and close there. It's just a few minutes on the phone call.
Talking about the construction loan, what I'm sort of wondering about is, and this came up at the panel discussion I was on today. How do you factor in tariffs? How do you factor in rising costs? How do you factor in inflation? Do you guys do something special related to that, or is that simply passed on to the developer or the borrower?
Well, early on in the tariff world, people used to do the same thing that they did with COVID, and they would put a limit. And after the limit, then it would break into having people have to bring more money to the table. A lot of people that I've spoken to said they really haven't had an issue with tariffs. They haven't had really an issue with supply chain because they buy out the deals in such a number and at such a point in the transaction that really hasn't become an issue. And then really another thing that I've heard about tariffs is it really only adds 2, 3, 4% to the total project cost, and that's sort of in the realm of their contingency budget. So all of that will be underwritten. It'll be handled specific to the transaction and specific to the market times. And I really don't think that anybody really believes that tariffs are going to really be long-term on any one particular sector. And when you're talking about these projects, a lot of the stuff comes from China, and that's just, being waived and negotiated away on a daily basis. So tariffs really haven't impacted transactions as much as the overall rising costs, the inability to find a reliable source of labor, given the other politically driven thing that's on everybody's mind, which is immigration and tariff. and stuff like that. You know, a lot of it is really overblown, but there is an issue with the ability to find construction workers. There is some concern with the tariffs, but the rising costs are an issue. And the biggest issue, Peter, is pre-sales